And welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are now on segment 2, our media segment, which I have already decided to hijack because I had a story that I was telling Blue in the intermission that I wanted to actually tell in the podcast. So, I was pointing out that, you know, with all the pandemic stuff, I've been looking at, like, early on I was looking at, like, things to stockpile, right? Like, you want to dry foods and stuff like that, just in case, like, the supply chain breaks down. It just makes sense to have, like, canned soup, beans, that sort of stuff.
Apocalypse kit.
Yeah, essentially. Or, at the beginning of this whole thing, a ton of toilet paper. Anyway, because of that, Amazon has been recommending me some stuff, and one of the things that was really cool was a survival axe. And it's like, it's this stainless steel axe that the handle breaks apart, and it has, like, a knife, a flint, a whistle, a compass, in addition to the axe itself. Now, one of the things that I didn't notice is apparently the knife has a bottle opener built into it. And it reminded me of something from college. I had a really nice toolkit in college that had like an Allen wrench and like a socket wrench and a few normal wrenches, a hammer, a screwdriver with a bunch of different attachments to it. And it also had a level. The level had this triangular insert in the top of it, which we discovered, being college students, was perfect for opening beer bottles. And it was a Stanley toolkit, and so whenever, like, we didn't actually have that many bottle openers in the apartment, so if somebody wanted to open a beer, the shout used to be, "Hey, get Stanley!" And that was it. Just a little anecdote from my personal life.
I see.
Speaking of,
yes, you have the charge. Go on.
I have plenty of media. I have so much media. Because of the Thanksgiving holiday, I was home visiting my parents this past Thursday, and we watched quite a few movies.
Yeah.
Speaking... Sorry?
I was going to say, when I was doing a bit of prep for today, obviously, and I looked up, like, Thanksgiving movies, and I did not recognize a single one.
Yeah, we didn't watch any... We didn't watch anything traditional. We just, like, looked up whatever was available. You'll hear that when I tell you what movies we watched. That being said, we also did movie night this past week, so we have that to talk about. Yeah. So I will get mine in first because
go for it.
They're going to be shorter. They're more one-sided. So I watched the Sonic the Hedgehog movie first of all.
Ooh.
Which was actually kind of a surprise. I got home and my mother was watching it.
Yeah?
By herself, and I was like, are you watching the Sonic movie? But apparently she saw it was free, and, you know, she thought it looked kind of cool, and so she started watching it, and apparently, like, with Comcast, apparently it was a free movie. So, at the reluctance of my father, we watched that movie. But he ended up really enjoying it, too. There were a few good... a few moments that he got a good chuckle out of, because it has Jim Carrey in it, and he has quite a few good one-liners.
Yeah.
But
yeah, was it as good as we've kind of heard? Because I know we talked about it previously, but neither of us had seen it before.
It was like so the original. I never had like a Sega Genesis or anything like that, but I had a Dreamcast, and I played the Sonic Adventure games, and I really enjoyed them as a kid.
Yes. Everyone loved Sonic Adventure.
Oh, they were great games. But you know, a little clunky, but they were fun, and like the story was kind of interesting. Despite some of the cheesy voice acting, like they were engaging, especially as a kid.
Oh yes.
And so I really wanted it to be a good movie, but quite a few video game movies end up being utter shit.
Oh, yeah, God.
And this one was looking like it was going to be just another one in the pile with the original version of the CGI Sonic and everything, and that whole controversy. But they went back to the table and, you know, reworked it a little bit, and there were some, like, cheesy moments, because it is a kid's movie. But I really enjoyed it. I found myself enjoying the movie from beginning to end. Like they handled Sonic really well. Like his interactions with the real people didn't feel like forced or awkward. And Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik ended up, despite seeming like a weird choice, he does it really well. I ended up loving the movie from beginning to end.
Sorry, I'm just looking up Jim Carrey, Dr. Robotnik. So I can't quite remember. I remember seeing the bits. Yeah, he's very more in shape than the average Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, because normally Dr. Robotnik is a bit rotund, as it were.
A little bit, yes.
But he's much more skinny. That being said, at the very end of the movie, they do tease a sequel. They tease a sequel by introducing another one of Sonic's woodland fellows, and also showing that Jim Carrey might be moving towards being the more traditional Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
I'm
looking at the... I don't know whether this is from the movie or something else, but that is one hell of a mustache.
That is... Oh, that's a spoiler.
Okay. I mean, it's not really a spoiler in itself, but the scene, I take it, is a spoiler.
Yeah, the scene is a spoiler. I won't talk about that now, because I don't want to spoil it. Because I do recommend the movie. You can
is that the bit at the end of the movie that we were just talking about?
It is exactly that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, the movie itself, like, great from beginning to end. Like, I found myself laughing. Like, they pull off that all ages humor really well.
Good.
So you're not if you're watching the movie as an adult, you don't feel like, why the fuck am I watching this little kids show? And if you're watching it as a kid, I imagine you'd probably be entertained as well. I don't have kids, so I wouldn't know. But
you are a kid.
I'm a child at heart. So that was number one.
I need to watch that. It looks good.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. So movie number 2 we watched, to go in completely the opposite direction. This one much more... it was a movie that my dad had seen and talked up as a great movie, and I'd seen reference to it, but I'd never watched it. Was Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide, it rings a bell.
It's a movie that I think I'm going to have us watch for movie night sometime. It's from 1995, so it's an older movie.
Yeah.
And it's Denzel Washington and a few other people that I remember.
We talked about this, didn't we?
A little bit. We talked about it briefly yesterday. And I think we talked about it a bit like a couple weeks ago too. Not on here, but...
Because I remember comparing it to The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah. And it's quite good. So the whole premise of the movie is, it's a submarine, nuclear submarine, 4 years after the Cold War ended, and Russian insurgents take over a Russian nuclear base, and they're deployed to try and essentially be in position if shit goes really bad. And long story short, they get attacked. There's a breakdown in their communication abilities, and this causes, for the reasons of their mission, causes some serious tension, and it essentially the crew splits into two factions that are ideologically opposed. One thing, and I'd heard that much about the movie before I saw it, and I'm going to venture into spoiler territory, so I'm not going to spoil it too much because I do want to show it to you, and I think that it's best left unspoiled. But I will say that they handle the resolution of that conflict extremely well. Huh. Like, they resist the urge to, like, hammer you over the head with, this guy's right, no, this guy's right. Instead, they sort of leave things somewhat ambiguous and resolve things in a very, very satisfying way. It's just... Okay. The movie is very well done. So
there are good debates in it about political and moral choices.
Yeah, exactly. And they handle them very fairly. They handle them like... They give both major characters, both major archetypes, a chance to showcase their worldview, and as a result, you're left kind of as the audience to go and look at them and go, huh, you know what, I think this guy's right. Well, you know what, but this guy has a good point too. It's very well handled.
Damn. When was that made? 1995.
95, yeah.
I think I'm seeing. Yeah.
It's an older movie. There was one guy in the movie I was trying to recognize, like, where the fuck have I seen this guy recently? Because I knew I'd seen him in another movie. One of the major characters was the guy that played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't...
What else is he in? I don't actually know him from anything else.
Well, I hadn't seen him in... I think he was a much bigger actor back in the 90s, probably. But I didn't really know him that well either. And it was only, like, because in the movie, he's rocking, like, a 1980s flat top. Like, he doesn't have the long hair he has in Lord of the Rings. And so that's, I think, why I didn't recognize him at first. It took me a while to place who he was.
Viggo Mortensen.
Well, I never would have remembered that name.
No, I've never heard of it before. I'm just having a quick look at what else he's in. Captain Fantastic, whatever the hell that is. Green Book, Eastern Promises, A History of Violence. I don't know any of these films.
I haven't really heard of... No, I don't know any of those either.
Wait, view 45 plus more? How many films has he been in?
Jesus.
He's
apparently a pretty prolific actor. It's just not movies that I know.
No. G.I. Jane.
Excuse me.
God, Appaloosa. There's
I've
some
heard of...
here that I've heard of.
Yeah.
But never seen.
I've heard of Appaloosa, I feel like, but I can't place what it actually is.
That's a place, isn't it? Oh, apparently he was in Psycho.
Don't even know what that is.
Psycho, you know, do in the shower with the knife.
I know the reference. I never knew what movie it was from.
Yeah, very famous book turn film.
Well, that was the movies that I watched this week. Shall we go on to the movie that we both watched this week?
My movie choice of the week was Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which if you're outside the UK you will never have seen probably. But it's very funny.
I did check with my parents. My dad watches a lot of movies. Like, typically if I find like a good film, he's already seen it and he can, you know, give me his thoughts on it.
Yeah.
He'd never heard of this one.
Yeah, not surprised.
But
I mean, it's like quintessentially British. I don't know. Well, won't make much sense, I suppose, to most people. But when you watch it, it really is just very Cockney. Yeah, I don't know the best way to describe it. It's I don't know when it's set.
It seems like it was set... Well, I mean, it's probably set around, like, the contemporary time, because it was made in the late 90s, and it felt like 90s.
I think... I vaguely remember hearing that it was made to look older than it is, even with the camera work and stuff.
But that may have been, like, a design choice. Either way, it was quite a good... And you're right by saying it's very British. Had I not known like as much as I know about, well, British
culture.
Yeah, exactly, British culture, both from going there and my many interactions with a certain British person, I probably would not have understood a few of the references or a few of the turns of phrase.
Yeah.
The movie itself, the best way I can probably describe it, and this is another like movie watcher's sin. I have never watched Pulp Fiction, but I know
we keep saying we need to watch it.
Yeah, I know, and I know the general like premise, and I know the general themes of that movie. The way I think would probably be a good way to describe this movie is that it's a British Pulp Fiction.
Right. Okay. Yeah, the very much the era, the haircuts, the style is kind of
in
similar,
terms of the feel. I will say though, just like for very different reasons. But just like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, this was a movie that from beginning to end, I was just smiling and enjoying myself. It was such a good movie.
Yep, it's a little bit grim if you're a younger viewer. Just mildly. I don't think you even really see any blood, but
there's a couple. You see some dead people. Yeah, you see some dead people with some blood on them, but
no, a lot of very funny jokes, and also like some moments of suspense.
Yeah, and the ending was just so fucking perfect.
Yeah, that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But without wanting to spoil it.
I mean, should we go into spoilers? Yeah. I mean, if we announce it right here, we can go into spoilers.
Yeah, fuck it, let's go.
All right. So from here on, if you want to watch that movie, what we're going to talk about literally for the rest of this segment is this movie. So you can fast forward to segment 3 if you don't want this movie spoiled too badly for you. Otherwise, keep listening, and we're just going to chat about it. So the premise of the movie is that there are several factions, right? There's these 4 brothers who live in kind of a shitty apartment, and they get involved in a poker game, which a guy cheats and fucks them over. And then there's like a gangland guy who is trying to steal some antique weapons from some noble person. And then there's also this group of really stoned out of their mind, like pot growers. There's a gang of like these black dudes who's led by a guy who honestly looks a little bit like Prince in the 80s, and he's just all of these factions all try to do a similar thing simultaneously, and they all end up crashing into each other and screwing
they all have
up
links to one another.
Yeah, they all end up screwing each other's plans up completely.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the point where you go, hilarity ensues.
There's you also missed out the assholes next door.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's also some drug dealers who live next door to the 4 brothers, and that's how they find out about this whole thing, to steal some money.
And there's the 2 people that go and steal the guns, the Scots.
Oh, yep. I think weren't there supposed to be like Yorkshire people?
Oh, yeah, they were northern anyway. Yeah. Maybe Manchester.
Well, this is one of the many references I meant when I said that there are certain things that you won't get if you don't understand British culture, and that was when the more southern guy there, he is walking away and he's like, fucking northern monkeys, and then the 2 guys who are from the north is like, stupid southern twat or something like that, and it was just like, it was such a it was a moment that I found funny, but I found it funny because I've spent so much time watching like British TV and talking to Brits.
Mm-hmm. It's like 2 different football teams essentially they were portraying basically.
For a good for a good analog for the Boston audience, it's like the Red Sox and Yankees.
Right.
Two
they've
factions
been like forced to work together.
Yeah, exactly. 2 people that they have no respect for each other, but they're working together for a mutual interest. Specifically, Red Sox and Yankees fans, not the teams.
And then there was also the dealer that went between the Northerners, the crazy Afro dude, and
the crazy Afro dude is the guy that I said looked like Prince in the 80s.
Yeah.
There was also...
I can't think of his name, and I don't want to be offensive, so...
What's his name? Guy... Was it Guy Ritchie? No, it wasn't Guy Ritchie. The big guy. The big guy with the kid.
The big guy... bloody hell. Oh, I even talked about him before we started watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember...
The guy that does Staying Alive, that commercial.
What? Another reference, if anyone's seen the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, he plays like the big silent dude. He's kind of like he plays like an
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones. He plays like a kind of stoic enforcer
Hmm.
throughout the movie, but he like brings his son around on business.
Yeah, he's everyone loves Vinnie Jones. He's a very typecast actor.
He is, and he's excellent. Every movie I've seen him in, he's been excellent in.
Yeah, actor, singer, presenter, former professional football player.
Singer.
Yeah.
So
apparently.
maybe he's honestly, he sounds like the British version of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah.
Because The Rock was
Kind of.
The Rock was a football player, and then he did professional wrestling for a while, and then he started being typecast as a movie star, and then he ended up being like a really good actor.
I thought you were gonna say Arnie, but yeah, no. Rock probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got fingers in a lot of pies, and yeah, it's he kind of embodies a kind of mentality over here of the big tough but honourable lad.
Yeah. I like that bit at the end when he drops the we are in spoiler territory, so I feel fine saying this. He drops the bag down on the table. He's like, "I've taken what I think is fair. If you don't like that, you can come and find me." And then they open the bag and it's fucking empty.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Oh, that nice car. Although, honestly, that car, oof, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I suppose for the day it was probably a lot more
I mean,
attractive, maybe. It's
that movie
cars.
was like a cavalcade of like really shitty cars.
Yeah, and there was a lot of famous actors in it as well. There was even the parking warden, who was like the butt of about 3 jokes in the whole film. That was it. He's a very famous.
Oh, what's his face?
Presenter.
The bald guy. He's been in a bunch of action movies like
Bald
over
guy?
here. The bald guy. He was one of the 4 brothers.
Oh, God damn it, I'm terrible with actors' names. Yes.
So am I.
Alright, I'm just gonna look up the cast. You keep talking for a sec.
I think he's been in Fast and the Furious movies. He may have been in a
Yeah, he's Jason Statham.
Jason Statham, yeah.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. That's that Lisdexia kicking in.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like even there were a lot of actors that I recognized in it. But I won't lie, watching the scene in the beginning where they're playing poker made me want to play poker.
Yeah.
I haven't played poker in a long time. We used to. So this is a bit of a side tangent. Juan, Raymond, and I used to go hiking with some friends, and we used to capstone the hiking trip by playing like $5 poker. So we'd play Texas Hold'em, and we'd play for money, but it'd only be for like $5. So no one's gonna cry if they lose.
Yeah.
So you're playing. You still feel like you win, and you don't want to just play like an asshole because you're still gonna lose money if you lose. But you're not playing for a ton, so that you're not bitter at your friends if you lose all your money. Because again, you only lost like $5.
Yeah, no, that's how I would prefer generally playing those kinds of games. With a little bit of incentive, just not.
Yeah, not like a ball breaking kind of incentive.
No, not like whatever it was, 1.5 mil.
Oh God, yeah. It was £500,000 if I remember right from the.
Yeah.
Which now how much is like the pound has changed a lot from the 90s. That was actually pretty close to the dollar, if not less than the dollar. Now though, the pound is like, we're into economics now. The pound is like 1.2 to the dollar. So $1.2 to the pound. So 500,000 pounds would be somewhere in the neighborhood of like $650,000, something like that.
Yeah, 600,000. Who the hell's calling at this time of day?
Oh my god! Who is calling during the podcast?
Right?
How unprofessional!
Nerve. But yes, great thing. Jason Fleming was another famous actor in there. Rob Brydon, Sting from the musician.
Wait, really?
Yep, he was the dad of the main character.
Oh,
in the bar.
Oh shit!
Yep.
I did not realize that. Yeah, God, I didn't realize it was such a star-studded cast.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, that's all I got on Lock and Stock.
Yeah, we didn't really spoil too much.
No,
So
not too much.
even if you're still listening, watch that movie. That movie is excellent. Also, Crimson Tide, great movie. And if you feel like something a little bit more lighthearted, Sonic the Hedgehog, because it was well done.
Yeah, for the younger audience.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Well, no, for anyone, but I mean the other two aren't for younger.
Well, yeah, but if you're if you're middle-aged like me and have a gaming childhood, you'll probably enjoy it too.
Oh, that makes me think of Tron now. Did you ever watch Tron? The original, I mean, not the remade one.
Oh, okay. I was about to say yes.
Oh.
I've seen the remade. I saw the remade one on a flight. I think it was like 2 years ago. I was flying back from a business trip, and I remember like I wanted something silly and mindless to have on and just like to fall asleep to, essentially. So I watched that. That was a mistake. That movie was awful.
Really?
The remade one?
I can't remember if I've seen the original or the remade.
I don't know.
I think I must
wasn't
have
a huge
seen the
fan.
remade.
It was. I think I was expecting something a little bit different than what I saw. It just wasn't good. Like, the characters were completely forgettable. The plot was practically non-existent. The only reason that movie existed was so that people could like ride around on neon motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean, it was very pretty aesthetic.
Oh, it was a beautiful movie. It was kind of like it's kind of like Avatar. That movie was very, very pretty, but the plot was just like, let's copy paste Pocahontas and like mix it up with Fern Gully. There we go. We've done it.
What? To be fair, I haven't seen. Oh wait, I have seen Pocahontas.
Yeah. Just around the river bend.
Yeah, we watched the Disney, didn't we?
I don't know if we've watched it for movie night yet.
Yeah. Well, no. It was one of the first Disney films we ever watched when we were doing Disney nights.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was quite a while ago. Yeah.
Hunchback and.
Oh god, I fucking love
Beauty and
Hunchback
the
Notre
Beast.
Dame.
Yeah. So that's the end of that, man. That was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago. That's a real throwback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the one and only time I watched it. Sorry, I'm just like throwing out a whole bunch of random films now. I'm just kind of.
Well, that's the thing. We had quite a bit to talk about during this media segment, but we've actually
exhausted it.
Yeah, we blew our load early. There's.
To be fair, there are thought-provoking films, and that doesn't necessarily mean a film is good.
Yeah.
But there are also good films that are not thought-provoking. I think Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels is a great film because it's funny and there's a good bit of action in it, but there's not much politics or
I could see
to
that.
think about.
The movie's like you feel like I described it when you said it before. Like, it made me feel good from beginning to end. It was just a good movie. But you're right. There's not really much we can debate or talk about in it. And honestly, of the movies that I talked about, Sonic is the exact same way. You just felt good watching it, but it's not going to provoke any kind of intellectual debate.
Yeah,
Crimson Tide would, but you haven't seen it, so I don't. I'm just be debating with myself.
There was a film I watched many years ago that my dad recommended, and I think he recommended it to me. I might have just watched it anyway. And it was this deep and meaningful and political and all sorts of crazy stuff. But it was they went so hard into that I didn't enjoy the film because it was so dotted around and...
The plot was an afterthought to try and get the message across.
Well, sort of. The plot was so dense and thick that I kind of lost track of things, and then I lost interest in a lot of the characters because it didn't make sense in my brain. I'm trying to remember what the film is. This isn't going to help.
Well, I mean, while you're trying to think of it, that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed Crimson Tide, is that there is a interesting philosophical debate buried in the movie, but they don't hammer you over the head with it. They don't sacrifice the plot to try and get all of the message across. It's just like, you know, here's an argument that on the surface seems simple, but beneath the surface has layers and layers and layers of nuance. And so you can think about it for a long period of time, but you don't have to work to get the basic argument. Your brain will get it just from watching the movie. Did you find the movie you're talking about?
No. Although I did come up with another film that was, I think, meant to be all about deep and meaningfulness, and it just ended up depressing. And have you heard of The Pursuit of Happiness?
No, I haven't. The name sounds kind of familiar, but the it's not ringing any bells.
It's a Will Smith movie.
Oh, I have seen that movie. Is that the one
with the Rubik's Cube?
Yes, I have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's been a long time since I saw that movie.
That was dreadful.
I loved that movie.
Really? It was so depressing.
Well, that's why I liked it. I like depressing movies. I like depressing music. I like depressing media. It makes me feel better.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I see it the same way as people who really like horror movies. They like being scared and the thrill of like the kind of horror movie. I like the kind of emotional experience that comes along with reading, listening to, or watching something that's, you know, generally tragic or depressing. I like tragedies.
I'm trying to think of one that I liked that was pretty dark. Honestly, I don't think... I feel heavier, like burdened, after watching something that's too depressing.
Really?
Yeah, that's why, like... Yeah. I used to watch this YouTuber for the longest time, and then suddenly realised that before I clicked on a video, I had, like, an inward groan, and I was like, wait, I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like...
It's interesting that you put it that way, because I honestly feel the exact opposite. Like, I like watching kind of a... Like, if I'm feeling heavy or burdened or, like, something like that, and I watch, like, a tragedy or something depressing, listen to something depressing, I feel light afterwards. Like, I feel like I don't know. I don't know how to put it. It's a kind of emotional release, almost.
Yeah. For some reason, The Pursuit of Happiness is under-motivational. I mean, maybe you think it is, but I don't.
I mean, they didn't say it was a good motivation.
To be fair, so is Wolf of Wall Street, and that's definitely not the right kind of motivation.
Oh my god, I just maxed the mic so much, I'm sorry. The Wolf of Wall Street.
If anybody hasn't seen Wolf of Wall Street, it's a Leonardo DiCaprio film about a guy who does stocks and shares during, I was about to say 9/11.
Yeah, no, not during that.
During the Wall Street crash.
Well, he starts right after the Wall Street crash. The Wall Street crash happened in the 80s.
That's true. That's what motivated him to get
to
work harder for it. And he makes his own business, becomes vastly successful, gets everyone in his business vastly wealthy, and then the wealth kind of gets to his head and he ends up self-sabotaging himself.
Yeah, crashes and burns in a airplane made of cocaine.
Yeah.
But it really did embody kind of the decadence, I guess, of the 80s, too. I actually... That movie is... You're right, that is really fucked up, and that is not motivational. But no. I enjoyed that movie.
It's done very well. They portray the emotions and the things going through people's heads as opposed to just going through their wallets.
Yeah. And it had... like, it also had some funny moments, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like,
yeah, no, it absolutely did. There was a lot of very funny, like, comedic moments. Sorry, Pokemon the first movie is on here as well.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I
really
like that movie.
Since I was a very young child.
Yeah. That came out in, what, 99? Right? Was it 98 or 99? Because I remember seeing that when I was in middle school at the time.
It came out in 2000.
Which is weird, because there was a movie called Pokemon the Movie 2000.
Wait, am I... Pokemon the first movie,
Pokemon the first
Strikes
movie.
Back. Oh, 98, sorry.
98, okay, yeah. I would have been 10.
Right, I think the release date in the United Kingdom was 2000.
Yeah, I remember going to see it because they gave you special edition Pokemon cards for a ticket.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Pokemon does a lot of that stuff where you got to be like in Japan at a certain time or date to get a special Pokemon.
Yeah, I did that with Pokemon Go. I got a Farfetch'd because I was in
yes,
Tokyo and I was so happy.
And then I brought you low by saying that literally that week they had released Farfetch'd everywhere and everyone had one.
They waited until I went to Japan to ruin my happiness. Oh my god. Alright, despite the fact that we were waffling around the 25-minute mark, we're now at 36. So,
yeah, we've just been like firing at any random target.
We're fast and loose, but we've had like some good stuff to talk about this week, even if we did waffle a bit near the middle. Anything else that you want to talk about before we end off this segment?
Nope, just prep for the end of the month special segment coming next.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're doing a trivia quiz extravaganza.
You get to see possibly Kaiser's beautiful face again. I know you've been gagging for it.
Oh, you're gonna make me blush.
Oh.
All right.
And hopefully, maybe a different hat. Have you got a different hat today, or is it the same hat?
I mean, I have that Russian hat.
Do you have I think you had do you have like a turkey hat? Or am I imagining things?
You're imagining things. I used to have a corn cob hat, but that's my parents' place. Yeah.
That would have been great. Shit.
Yeah, it's back at my parents' place.
Anyway, sorry. Go on, I've left.
Oh god, now I'm coughing. Alright, this is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll tune in for segment 3, where Blue embarrasses me on camera.
Yay!